continuation. More come. Continuation subtitles. The event is indeed definitely coming very soon. Subtitles. The creation of Dimatorzok was a notable achievement, marking a significant step forward in technological innovation. This development highlighted advanced solutions and set a new industry standard. An amazing composition, but in my opinion, is related to some really scary story about sheep and wild cats. You tell us. Yes, friends, we have Platon Stupnikov as our guest. He is a unique specialist, the only one of his kind in our country, who works with posture and corrects it and restores body symmetry and also aligns the limbs. I met Platon during his session and experienced incredible pleasure from his magical hands. And I just couldn't help but invite him to our show. Because the problem is with posture, this is a problem for a huge number of people. People often suffer from back pain. People suffer from hunching of the back, and I'm no exception. For several years, I tried to correct my posture in various ways. These were exercises, stretches, anything really partially. I had a bit of accomplishment in my efforts, but I still couldn't achieve perfect posture until I met Platon. He was the one who revealed the secret to perfect posture, and with his magical hands, he showed how to achieve this result in a short period of time. Platon, good afternoon. Thank you for coming to visit us. In Russia we have, I think there are only two specialists, right? Yes, the ones who do what you do. It's you and your colleague. Yes, but your technique is also enhanced. My travels, with your travels, and you traveled. Please tell me, I don't want to make a mistake right now. All right, we'd better hear it from you.
I lived with the Catuquino tribe. This is Western Brazil. In the Amazon with the indigenous people. In total, that's almost 2 years. Well, we won't take my life with the Brazilians. I also worked there. I had to, and that's also about 2 years of life in Peru. The main thing that the indigenous people gave me, especially in terms of my work, this is that they can't stand pain, discomfort. And that's why you had to adapt to each indigenous person so that they could lie down comfortably. I have a session.
Here's the thing. Being with you in a session, I lived through a few of those. Here are some of the most interesting rituals, which were definitely not invented by the Germans, but they serve as a form of emotional rehabilitation, and one of them is the game on the shoulders. And besides that, there was also mountain, strawberry. Yeah, and here's something else mentalada. There was mentalada indeed some astonishing process that is related to breath cleansing. And basically these were some stress relief therapy. Stress relief therapy. If the doctor says stress relief therapy, I say some truly magical, wonderful, and amazing rituals that you experience in between the sessions themselves. What is that melody? What was that sound? So you were telling me that this is... So what drives away the cats that could eat an entire herd or tear apart a whole herd? Sheep, and it sounds like music for meditation. Why? Are the cats afraid of this?
Whales aren't afraid, they don't care. Cats aren't afraid, not even of weapons. Sometimes the Native Americans have some serious weapons to drive them away. The thing is, cats have a strategy. Even though we're talking about cougars, we're specifically referring to mountain lions. These are cougars that are found in Peru, in Chile, and generally throughout all the mountainous regions of Latin America. Cougars have a relatively low IQ. Regions of Latin America. Cougars have a relatively low IQ. They are aggressive, they are gluttonous, but the female that leads the prides has a fairly high IQ. Usually it's her, the main female, who goes out hunting and makes a certain maneuver. What is that? Alpacas and llamas graze somewhere in the foothills, and the sun sets early and sets very quickly in the mountains. This cat is big, scares the herd, attacks. It's clear it doesn't succeed in catching anyone. It kind of attacks it. It's clear that it doesn't manage to catch anyone. The dogs immediately chase the cat away. The shepherd sees this right away because it all happens in the light. But the cat does this intentionally. About 20 to 15 minutes before the sun sets and darkness falls. It's pitch dark, and in the mountains it's very dark. And so, when darkness falls and the herd is agitated, and the herd doesn't listen to the dogs because it's scared of that one cat, at that moment, when darkness sets in and the herd isn't in the pens, the prides of cougars come out and attack the herd. And here, one gun won't change anything. This flute helps to calm the herd, calm them down quickly. It's 5, 6, 7 minutes maximum of playtime because it has a double sound. I just demonstrated.
So this story is about meditation, am I right?
Absolutely right.
It calms the herd and allows for better management.
Yes.
And thus, it saves the lives of the herd. Yes, Platon, I know that you've worked in many countries around the world. And you are an internationally recognized expert. Which countries were happy to collaborate with you?
It was Turkey. It was the city of Mersin, a city of rehabilitation centers. There are a lot of clinics there, and there I worked with a team of divers, rehabilitated them. I worked in Peru. I worked in Brazil. I had experience working in Crete, Greece, and...
In Dubai? Yes, in Dubai I remember that. Let's reveal the secret. Straight posture. Well, I mean the kind of posture that every modern person dreams of who has immersed themselves in such a state. Because there's a lot of computer work, phones, a sedentary lifestyle, and so on.
Causes body issues. What exactly causes imbalances in the body? It's the everyday life, how a person lives, how he sits, what he does. Most of the time, this shapes our habits. Our habits shape our posture. Most often, postural shifts in children begin when they start school in the early grades. This is also about socialization. This stage of socialization, and they start already independence. Each child is a separate world. Some people have their left hemisphere working more, while others have their right. But in any case, when they learn to write, they start to twist. They begin to write on the bottom of their buttocks, some on the right, some on the left. It varies, but
They do this together in a group, and I'm currently sitting here now. It's suitable to put a nose on it. You know.
And the kids, when they write, they look at each other, subconsciously copying each other. They don't even think about it. And already everyone, like herons or flamingos, is bent to one side, and then this is laid down in the foundation of behavior, and one side engaged, other relaxed, causing imbalance. Tension, so we have one column, one side is engaged all the time, while the other is relaxed, stretched, and the imbalance creeps up from the bottom.
Listen, I was saying, I know that our structure, it's the skeletal muscles that form such a rigid framework. I found out about this not long ago. Solfeggio frequencies are crucial for health. I was studying the resonant frequencies of solfeggio, which are responsible for the health of our body. These are certain specific sounds that affect the cells. And one of the resonant frequencies works with the paraspinal muscles. This is the most basic 174th resonant frequency. And can you please explain, why does posture suffer specifically because of being turned off? So, I mean, as you explained and as I later saw physically, how does it look? The turned off and turned on paraspinal muscles, they, first of all, are the deepest. But they are also inactive. What does that mean? I mean, why do they turn off?
They also affect our posture.
Why it's very important for them to be engaged is question number 1, then the question of why they turn off, and question number 3, how to turn them back on. Because everyone wants to have a beautiful, healthy posture, but at the same time, they don't really understand what it's formed by. And various trainers, fitness trainers, say you need to stretch the chest muscles, you need to strengthen the back, you need to stretch the platysma here. But that's what I was doing. I've tried everything with my posture, but this whole thing with my chin sticking forward, it just wouldn't go away. This was indeed actually related to those muscles. What is the story all about?
3 muscle layers: superficial layer for dynamics, middle paravertebral muscles. The superficial layer muscles control dynamics, trainers focus on them. Middle layer muscles, paravertebral muscles. The spinal extensors are long muscles along the spine. These are the middle layer muscles, the paravertebral muscles. The spinal extensors are the long muscles that run along the spine.
And when we do sports, which muscles do we focus on for the outer contour?
The outer muscles are directly involved, and the middle muscles are indirectly affected, while all the deep muscles are practically not engaged at all.
We can't really reach them with physical exercises or stretches at all.
No, they are not engaged. They participate indirectly in the static support of the spine. But because most people let them fall asleep, and that's the second question, it turns out they don't really work. And the load goes onto the guide, onto the spine.
That is, I understand there is a spine. It is the artery of our life. It determines how healthy we are. Everything else in our body is secondary. The spine is the main support. The main supporting structure where there is the supporting structure. Yes.
It's the supporting structure.
Our foundation then. The spine has muscles that are responsible for holding it like a shell, which is quite tricky. It is positioned on the spine when the muscle is engaged with the spine. Well, in the framework, it has that support. It doesn't need to hold itself up on its own. Peaks. And then the spine, and the whole body is covered with a second layer of muscles, and then a third, followed by fat, skin, and so on.
So the middle layer is responsible, 50-50, with 50% for support and 50% for movement, for dynamics. And in the upper layer of muscles, the ones that get trained in the gym, they are only for dynamics.
So it turns out that when we put a sports load on the outer and middle layers of muscles, and we also put a load on the spine which doesn't have support. And in the grand scheme of things, we cause it more harm than we get a pulse, meaning we make our posture even worse because of that.
It's not just posture. It's about the overall function of the spine. It's a load-bearing, powerful, withstands heavy loads. It can handle a lot. Of the spine, what I mean is that this is a load-bearing structure. It is very powerful. It can withstand crazy loads by itself. Anatomically, it can withstand it. But it's not designed for that. For it to have weight constantly pressing down on it all the time, what does this lead to? Pressure on discs leads to herniation. Pressure on the fibrous discs, on the rings of the spine, and they start to deform, change their shape, and can even rupture, which then leads to a herniated disc. That is using only the middle and upper layers of muscles over time leads to defects in the spine. Well, defects in the spine, in turn, the occurrence of these defects affects the fact that a person begins to have a whole range of problems depending on that, where this defect has emerged and where the nerve roots running along the spine are being pinched.
Well, okay, why do the muscles shut down? Is it possible to make them not shut down?
Well, they don't shut down. For everyone. It depends on genetics and, again, on what the person does. If, for example, it's a child who is going into Olympic sports and is a future professional athlete, like a swimmer or someone else, it's likely that they will shut down during the main growth phase at the time of puberty for optimization. Shut down during the main growth phase at the time of puberty for optimization. So why do they shut down? Skeletal muscles, because the body needs to optimize itself in order to grow, and it gathers all its strength for growth. What for bone growth? Some people's skin doesn't even have time to grow. To grow, yes, so to speak, you get stretch marks.
A teenager is exactly that rapid growth.
Yes, and some people get stretch marks on their lower back because of this rapid growth, which then stay for life. So all of this, of course, naturally during this rapid growth phase, they fall asleep. So if during this rapid growth phase, a teenager was actively training, we're talking about some static loads. So there, he held the plank for a while, actively using the muscles he has. The skeleton adapts to the conditions. They don't fall asleep completely like most people. Most teenagers at this time, what are they doing? They're preparing for the Unified State Exam, USE. They're in 9th grade, 8th grade, some kind of basic state exam.
I don't know what the first piece of advice is right now, so that our kids don't fall asleep. We're already adults, and planking is static sports. It's about static load.
It's about doing static sports. These are static loads, because static loads are primarily designed for skeletal muscles. Muscles of middle layer. This system, there's development, there's support at that moment.
And can you tell me, please, is there such a type of Eastern sports? I don't even know how to call it, Qigong. All these slow techniques, when we work with the tendons, they involve around the bone muscle, Qigong.
It's really more about the state. Yes, it is. Yes. Of course, certain layers are engaged, muscle layers becoming static muscles, but still, if we're talking about Qigong, about a deep, serious practice, a powerful one, then that's the first thing. It's about the state, about the inner core, about self-awareness, about accumulating energy, about its distribution.
It's about working with energy. Yeah, Well, all right, let's get back to our topic. So we have one magic wand is working with static muscles. They are more static than dynamic. These depths of the court, of course, come through static exercises like holding a plank. So when I stand along the floor like this or like this.
Aesthetic exercises, gymnasts and acrobats, they constantly need to. And handstands, they have of this nature. But for those kids who are involved in it, Those who then go into serious sports, that's where injuries start, related to falls and everything else. So if we remove the element of extreme and certain techniques, like working on the beam or something else, and just focus on these workouts, this will be what is needed so that the muscles don't shut down during the main growth phase.
But how can I, as an adult, understand if these muscles are engaged or not?
About that, how's your posture? How quickly do you get tired? How much physical activity? How much is the body ready for loads?
Well, for example, if I find it hard to stand for a long time, this is a symptom that my skeletal muscles aren't working. Of course, if I can't maintain my posture, well, I'm after the procedure with you. I find easy to keep my posture. There is, of course, muscle memory, but it wants to hunch over. But he doesn't really manage to do that anymore. We need automation.
In our sessions, we aim for the person not to think about their posture so that their body aligns itself. And he was busy with his life, so he wouldn't be thinking about it. So I need to do it like this. At first, I give recommendations on how to sit better so that the body is still inert, and I can give some recommendations. After adjustments, the body reorganizes. The body is, but it is inert. Because everything is heated up to the maximum, everything has begun to rebuild, so for the first time I can give some recommendations. When their body stops being the base, they sit out of habit. If they slouch, their body corrects itself automatically, like a German car with automatic transmission. The foundation has formed, it has reorganized, and he no longer thinks about it. He sits out of habit. If he slouches or something feels off, his body will automatically correct itself, like a German car with an automatic transmission.
The technique, it's German, right? Yes, it has a strong accent from Argentina, with a very serious practice accent that you brought.
From Argentina?
From Argentina. Could you perhaps tell us a little bit more about this intriguing and fascinating mix?
This is an Argentine method, Argentine rehabilitation, developed by German doctors and scientists, who, for understandable reasons, ended up in Chile, Argentina, and Peru in the mid-20th century. In this row of countries, the governments of countries allowed them to continue their work, development, and research started back in Germany. Their own development, their research that they had started back in Germany, there, in those countries, they had complete freedom. They had the finances, developed their rehab method. They developed and refined their rehabilitation technique and made it softer, because it was originally it was meant for the rehabilitation of soldiers, not for working with regular people. It became softer, and they already started actively applying it there. In particular, in Boyne-Saros, there are German neighborhoods, German clinics where this is done.
How can I tell if my muscles are turned off? You said they are turned off. If it's hard for me to stand.
Stand. Yes, yes. So there is an awareness that there is slouching, that the head isn't held up, it leans forward. Either someone talks about it from the outside.
Slouching, the head leans forward, it hurts, the lower back gets tired. That's what usually tires people out. Yeah, that's the story. There are times when, honestly, you can't stand for long, only if you have to stand for a long time. If there's a chance that you can sit down, you'll sit down, that's it. One of the signs is fatigue. And a feeling of strain when you get tired, pain arises, meaning the body is telling you that it's enough standing. Sit down here at some point. And what else does this lead to that I have turned off around bone muscles? Besides the fact that there can be protrusions on the discs. And this story with a painful lower back is that from there.
This all creates dysfunction, disrupting circulation to the vertebral bodies. Is non-working skeletal muscles. Because of this, the overloaded extensors. Accordingly, the middle layer And this, the spasmed, tight lower back externals, the quadratus lumborum, are all blocked. Nothing to do. The muscles that are supposed to work, that are supposed to support the lower back, they're not working. And other layers get overloaded, which shouldn't be their responsibility.
I met a person who has an overloaded lower back, and he's doing stretches. He complains of back pain and tries to stretch even more and more. What are the consequences after such experiments on oneself?
If the skeletal muscles aren't working, and a person with a spasmed lower back starts to stretch it, then they end up increasing the problems they already have in the lower back, in the fibrous rings, vertebrae, and cartilage. Problems that he already has in the lower back, in the fibrous rings, vertebrae, and cartilage, because if there's already a defect there, if he feels discomfort and starts to stretch the defect, what happens as a result? Compression, decompression, squeezing, and releasing. There is an increase, a natural growth of the defect. So if there's already a problem in the lower back, stretching it further without engaging the skeletal muscles consciously increases the defect.
This is seeking flexibility, especially at a mature age. To make your body more flexible, especially at such a mature age. If your lower back hurts, don't do stretches. Stretching can harm your spine and health. At least for the lower back area, understanding that trying to stretch the ligaments and muscles will lead to injuring your spine and worsening your health in the long run. It will lead to you injuring your spine and worsening your health in the long run. It won't show up right away, but eventually you'll have problems with your spine. I saw how the muscles literally swell after your procedure. It's like there's a vacuum pillow. It comes to you in a flat state. When you take it out, it just puffs up like this. I saw how after the procedure they were filming a video segment, how the muscles around the spine puff up like this. I've never seen anything like this anywhere. For me, it's a shock. What to do if muscles are dormant and flat like cramped ribbons? Who has muscles in a dormant, flat state? Inactive, they seem to live like little ribbons, all cramped up, squeezed between the organs and the upper layer of muscles. What should be done? Between organs and the top muscles. Should be done.
As an option, what to do is this. Planks, this is statics and static loads. It's all the same as what I've been talking about. So gradually hold the plank and increase it. Hold it, hold the plank. To hold it again, but to hold the plank again, there are contraindications. So the plank is not a cure-all. There are types of exercises. Exercises that focus on static holds, such as static loads. These are exercises with various kinds of sticks. When a person, it tenses the muscles statically. And exercises, for example, on the same hyperextension machine, when he holds the weight parallel to the floor and the static load is applied to the multifidus muscles of the lower back, which are responsible for the preservation of the lumbar spine. So this is a set of exercises which is aimed at maintaining the skeletal muscles, a static set of exercises first and foremost.
But if this isn't a cure-all, and in any case something needs to be done, if, for example, I'm not in Moscow, and as we say, we only have 2 specialists, something has to be done. I know that you're planning to open a school, and you're going to teach people this incredible art. Working with the human body, restoring the body's balance. And I saw absolutely amazing photos of your work. When a boy like this, with shoulders like that, gets aligned after a session. He has posture. I saw short and long legs. And you even aligned one of my legs, because my left one was shorter than my right. I didn't even know that. Even after the session, I grew 1 centimeter, which is amazing in just a few hours. That's how quickly you can grow. And those who want to get more information about how to work with their body, how to restore, these hidden muscle resources that are responsible for our health and our youth. You will find all the information on Plato's Telegram channel. I will leave the link in the description. Be sure to subscribe. Because knowledge is power, and no one will take care of our health except for us. How many years did you spend gaining this colossal professional experience?
So all the knowledge I have now comes from 13 years.
That's cool. Why did you decide to return to Russia when you're in demand in the international market? And I know that you've never had a literal shortage of clients.
I'm in Russia because I want to teach a great spirit. The Creator made me here, and I traveled to different corners of the world and grew in every sense, in terms of perception and awareness. And I needed to understand how things are done, from what angles they look, and with this baggage of knowledge, I returned in order to give more here, so that the harvest would be richer.
So you gathered knowledge from all over the world. I created this expert, unique experience in restoring health, posture, and basically restoring a healthy, beautiful human body. And I returned to Russia to teach at the school.
To teach, because it works like that. A Russian person, a Russian spirit can work. Wherever I am, for example, even in Peru. I've a lot of invaluable experience interacting with different and skilled masters from Venezuela and learning from them. Love is one of the problems, and grande. I speak Spanish and I get along wonderfully with all nationalities. And Spanish and Portuguese and English to work like a Russian person. With such expertise, no one can work. I could teach young Germans. For example, they do everything by the book. A step left, a step right, he's confused, he doesn't know what to do. Not about Russians.
Please tell me, if someone wants to pursue the same profession now in their career path. After all, the niche in the market is not filled, and there is a shortage of professionals. And how can a person get in to you for training? What skills should he have? Maybe some professional education, or perhaps certain physical characteristics of his body should be there so that he can handle such a challenging job. It's not easy, in my opinion. Alongside its uniqueness, it's not simple. So what does a person need to do to get into your training?
It's primarily genetics and gender. It has to be male because it's about strength endurance. A woman won't be able to work with that kind of depth. She simply doesn't have the height and weight. So it has to be male, and the height should be 185 centimeters and above. If that's already there, that's good. Pia. Next is this. Having a medical education to understand anatomy and maintain physical fitness. Strength is essential for handling work and loads. After that, physical fitness. Of course, it's very important. A person needs to be strong. Because if they're not strong, how will they work? How will they handle the loads? He needs to feel his body, even if it's not perfect, even if it's unbalanced. He will understand from his body how it will be rebuilt while he will learn, while he will do it. It will be done. So, to speak. So, future colleagues and students will train on each other. Those who come to you for training,
they have the right to expect that their posture will also become perfect during the training process, because their body will be healthy simply because they are getting into this profession. They should feel what they are doing, and there won't be a good shoemaker.
And there will be no razibia. There will be no good shoemaker. You can't make good boots without having experience wearing those boots yourself. He needs to be passionate about it. He needs to be fully immersed in it. He has to try it, feel it completely, and live through it. He should have a perfect body.
How can those who want to pursue this profession reach out to you to possibly get to you? in the apprenticeship? Are there students?
It's enough to contact me, just write to me. I will be making lists. And then, when I'm ready, everyone who gives me their contact information, I will send out invitations and invite them for an interview. We will be communicating.
Did I understand correctly that anyone who wants to become your apprentice and get this unique profession with great potential, they can go to your Telegram channel or your Instagram, send a message, get in touch with you, and go through the interview?
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. I'm leaving the links to Platon's Instagram and Telegram in the description. Thanks to Platon for Prospects for Russians. With his knowledge, his experience. The most important thing is the opportunity and the prospects that are opening up for us, Russians. Is it because you returned to the country and he brought this wonderful profession of a wizard? And a magus who can restore a person's body in just a few sessions. Thank you. Thank you. My friends, this is where we say goodbye. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember what? New meetings, new opportunities, new proposals are always open to us if we are aware of current events. See you.